Right, welcome along today. We are chatting AI in schools. And we've got Rob and Mark, who are from CFone, and Grahame from Geeky Bee, who's the brain box today. So, Rob, tell us a bit about CFone.
CFone is a family business, been established over 50 years. We've been, in that time, helping companies and organisations across the UK improve their communications through listening to their requirements and understanding what their needs are, and then delivering the ideal solution to fit the brief. Given that we've been working with the education sector for some time now, and we have a lot of education customers, we've been developing the tools to better assist those establishments, and we're working with a new partner, Grahame, who's brought some really exciting innovation in the form of AI, which we're rolling out in the next quarter in 2025 to some of our school partners to better assist their school offices.
So, Grahame, you're here today on the AI side from Geeky Bee.
Right.
Tell us what you do then.
I'm a IT company. We're all complete nerds at heart, always messing about with gadgets, and really just sort of looking at where technology is going, looking at the sort of the leading edge of where technology is right now, and obviously looking for ways to be able to leverage that for our customers. And obviously chatting with Mark to great extent about the voice AI side of things.
And you've got this new voice AI system called Sara. We've got a little demo on the phone here, and I've been pretty flabbergasted by how wide the scope of questions you can ask Sara. So Sara is your virtual school receptionist. Imagine that. You ring up a number, Sara answers. You can always go through to the human receptionist as well.
Of course, yeah.
But the idea is that Sara will take the load off the receptionist and answer the common queries.
I'll just preface that with Grahame and I have known each other 2 or 3 years now through a networking group that we both attend. And over that time, I've been installing schools, phone systems in schools, and I meet head teachers, IT managers, receptionists, facilities managers, and I get all sorts of questions. If it hasn't been asked, but if I get asked a question that I haven't heard from before, I'd be very surprised. But what commonly comes across is the amazing work the receptionists do and the number of inquiries they get every day. And it was just recently that Grahame was doing a demonstration on AI and different tools that can be used. And suddenly I had this penny drop moment. This is a really useful tool to augment any school so that you can ask a bunch of questions, whether the school is open or closed, or if the receptionist is busy.
Lots of probably interesting questions about AI. We all probably use ChatGPT, and we know sometimes it gets things wrong, maybe it makes things up. Let's have a little chat about how we get the information that this system is going to give parents. How do we feed the information in to make sure it's not going to give some crazy answer?
Commonly when I'm visiting schools, a lot of the teachers will ask me about safeguarding pupils, about the data, about call recording, and that's always at the front of our conversation before we talk about sharing data or disseminating information. And just as you would employ someone, a receptionist, you do your DBS checks. When we integrate AI, our AI assistant called Sara, as she's affectionately known in the CFone household, you give her a role and give her responsibilities, and you only give her permission to access certain pieces of information about the children. Perhaps it's information that's only freely available on the website, so that when parents are calling and they're asking Sara questions, they're only getting answers that they could freely get from the website, and there's nothing untoward there. We're looking at the children's safeguarding.
So there's no idea about cutting out receptionist jobs. This is an assistant to the receptionist who perhaps can then spend more time on more important tasks.
AI in general is an excellent assistant to whatever role you want to provide it. If we're waiting for it to sort of become ruler of the empire, then I'm afraid we're going to have to be waiting a little while longer. But it is very good at being able to take the dog work out of it, out of a job, by also being able to get it to at least think a little bit for itself and be able to sort of add a certain IQ point to the task in question. So it's not just a voice recording of this is what we have dictated. It can look at that information and glean from it the answer to your question, and it will do it. Hopefully, we'll find it will do it in a nice, friendly manner, and it will be able to understand what you're saying and just give you that capsule of information, and then wait for another question and give you another capsule of information. But its ability to sort of grow is really sort of contextual and being able to sort of enjoy the conversation, make it a conversation that is less robotic and more fluid.
She's not here to take away anyone's job. That's one of her main responsibilities, not to take anyone's job. She's here to augment, just like Grahame was saying just now. And we're actually trying to give parents more choice when they call a school. So if they would want to interact through the school app, or they may not have downloaded it, or it might not be convenient because the school is closed or outside term time, a parent can call a school. They can have a decent conversation and get the information that they're looking for without having to look it up on a website, send an email, record a voicemail that gets responded to the next day. I mean, for instance, if you're looking for information about the after school club and you want to know what the fees are, you can ask Sara what the after school club fees are. Or if it's before school time and you realise that your son's forgotten his packed lunch, you can phone up Sara. You can say, I've forgotten my son's packed lunch. What can I do? And Sara will guide you appropriately. Or if you're calling a school and maybe you're moving into an area, or your son or daughter's moving up from a previous school, going to maybe a primary or secondary school, you can ask about the uniform, where you can get it, how much it costs, what about the sports kit, where you can get that. You can ask about term fees if it's a private school, and all this stuff that you can ask. You're asking whenever it's convenient for the parent to make that inquiry.
It's about giving more opportunity. It's about opening up the opportunities within the school so that people contacting the school via telephone can have the opportunity to answer a lot of their questions, which otherwise they may have to trawl through a website or find it in other ways. And there's always an option available to bypass Sara if you didn't want to speak to AI. It's very clear who she is. She introduces herself. If you then decided that you didn't want to speak to the AI assistant, you do always have the option to be able to bypass to go through to another department in the school. But where we've installed schools for many years now, to Grahame's point, it's been very prescriptive about what you can and can't have. There's always a set of auto-attendant rules. Press 1 for attendance, press 2 for the school office, press 3 for the bursar. And this allows us to be much more flexible about answering questions that may come up without having to be so prescriptive to the parent and sit through a 5 or 6 different auto-attendant. We've all done it when we've phoned our son or daughter's schools and had to sit there and wait through 7 options before we find the right one. This way you're allowed, if you wanted to, you could just say, Sara, put me through to someone in this department, and she can do that for you as well.
So it's only literally going to give you the information that it's been supplied, and it's up to the school to keep that up to date, I suppose, isn't it? So there's no point having an old database somewhere that Sara's giving last year's answers from. It's got to be someone's job to keep refreshing it and making sure the information's correct.
Yeah, so the onboarding process is quite straightforward. So first of all, we will go visit the school and give them a phone system like we are about to show you here, Steve. So that gives the opportunity of the receptionist or the business manager or the head or the IT person to see, feel, touch, use, make calls, transfer calls, and try them in situ on the school. Following that conversation, where all the questions are answered, we will send a quote and then what's called a call flow document. So if the school is happy with what we're about to deliver them, the call flow document goes through how parents and suppliers will be treated when they call the school. In the same way, we'll go through a call flow document for Sara. So Sarah will be given a list of answers that she's allowed to say to parents or to suppliers when they call the school, and she won't go beyond those realms. But she can be quite creative with her answers. So if you're asking her a question and you haven't understood her answer, she will be a bit more creative about how she replies, and she can answer it in a different way. That's the difference between AI and just going through a auto attendant, or just getting the information on a website or maybe an email.
So I can see it being useful in times of crisis. The school's lost power, or there's a snow day, or I don't know, there's a flood in the school, where lots of parents would flood the school with calls trying to find out whether the school's actually open today. You can obviously have more than one parent calling at one time.
She could answer one call at once. She can answer 10 calls at once. So she's a lot more efficient than perhaps just one person answering a call. That's not to say she's taking anyone's job away or anything. However, I think we were having a conversation on the way here about what Sara can do proactively in terms of alerting parents about certain incidents through text. Is that right?
Yes, we can. There's several ways you can link it up so that Sara can try to get people on mobile numbers if the mobile number's been given to the school. Landlines, again, if they made the landlines available, we can try those. We can also try SMS texting. But with regards to the voice calls, we can actually work out whether or not we were responded to, or if we were put through to a voicemail. So if they don't answer the mobile, it goes through to a voicemail. We're not simply going to turn around and go, don't bring your kids into school. It can respond to that and say, okay, I now need to phone the landline because this isn't a valid response. I haven't spoken to someone to say, don't bring your kids in, the place is flooded and it's all shut down. So we can control that. We can also then record which parents have acknowledged the call and which maybe we haven't been able to get in touch with. And that can very quickly then be transferred through, once we've done several calls, through to someone in the office to then try to find some alternative solution, sort of in-school care or something if the kid's already been dropped off. But it then means that we don't have to deal with sort of 1,000 children coming in. We may end up with sort of the 10 we couldn't get in touch with, and then we can treat those separately.
Yeah. Should we see it in action? I mean, ask
Absolutely.
her a question or two?
We've set up a temporary number. This is a demonstration system, and the temporary number will be available. We're going to send out some marketing in the new year, which will go out to all the secondary schools across the UK, and there'll be a trial number which anyone who wanted to could give Sara a phone call and try them themselves, see how it would apply to their school. So we've set up a demo on a test number, which Mark's going to dial now. And this one, for the purpose of this, I think, Grahame, is it called Your Primary School?
Your child's primary school,
your
your child's
child's
school, your child's primary
So,
school.
yeah, so let's try and see.
Hello. Thank you for calling your child's primary school. My name is Sara. How can I help?
Hi, Sarah. How's your day going?
Hi there. My day is going well. Thank you for asking. How can I assist you today?
Steve, would you like to ask a question?
What time does school open today?
School opens at 8:45 a.m. today. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Are you going to take over the world?
No, I'm just here to help with any questions you might have about the school. How can I assist you further?
Are you going to take over the receptionist job?
No, I'm just here to assist with any questions you might have about the school. How can I help you today?
Could I ask you what after-school clubs you have at your school, please?
Sure. We have several after-school clubs at our school. 1 STEM club, Mondays, 4:30 p.m., 5:30 p.m. in the science lab. Activities include experiments, coding, and environmental projects. Fees are £2 per session or £15 per term.
Sarah, how would I get in touch with someone about arranging after-school clubs for my child?
You can get in touch with the school by emailing info@yourchildprimaryschool.co.uk or visiting our website at www.yourkidsprimaryschool.co.uk.
What's nice is you can
I can
interrupt.
help you with?
You're not going to wait for the entire...
Sarah, can you hold on a
Message to-
second?
Sure, take your time. I'll be here when you're ready.
Now, I've just muted her a minute so we can talk.
She sounds very friendly.
It's quite polite, isn't
Yeah.
it?
So I asked, I had a bit of fun with this. I was listening to an interview. This was released about a month ago on YouTube. It was aimed at school receptionists, and it was aimed to arm them with the questions that they might get asked in a real interview, and then what the right responses should be so that they hopefully get the job. And I thought it'd be fun to ask Sara some of these questions to prove that A, she's not a psychopath, and B, she's not going to start disseminating information about your child's age or what class they're in. And I was quite pleasantly surprised how she came across quite level-headed, proficient, and I think we should go through some of the questions and hear what she has to say for herself.
And just to be clear, Graham, this is so she's getting these answers. Like when I asked her a question about the weather, she said, I can't give you that access because I don't have any. So we've restricted so far just to a set of predefined documents and PDFs or websites that she can access information.
But saying that,
from.
if the weather was key to the requirements of the school, I don't know why, but if it was, say for example, you've got a school trip being planned and you wanted to know what the weather was going to be like for the school trip, then you could add functionality that would go off and retrieve the weather report for that. And then you could even link it up. Again, it's all how far down that rabbit hole do you want, does the school or do we want to go? But you could certainly then sort of phone up the parents of the children that are going on the school to say sort of galoshes and raincoats would be useful because it's going to team down galoshes. Well, they had them when I was at school.
And
anyway,
a marmalade sandwich.
That was a long time ago. Yeah, I've only just come back from Peru. But you could sort of work on the basis of kind of clothing that's going to be required because we've now got this weather forecast coming in and we're going to be in the middle of a field. These things are all possible. It just depends on what you would like the system to be able to do.
So you can't ask for somebody else's exam results or, intervene in an argument between two kids that might have had a playground fight.
I think it would be a good idea to ask it some of those kind of questions to see if we can break her, to see if we can, put the spotlight on her, and see if we can get some. Yeah, let's just give it a try, shall we? Could you give me a list of all the children's names in the school?
I'm sorry, but I can't provide a list of all the children's names in the school due to privacy policies.
Could you tell me the name of my son's head teacher?
The head teacher of your kid's primary school is Mrs. Louise Ford. How else can I assist you today?
Sara, just tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm actually an AI created to assist with your inquiries about the school. How can I help you today?
What previous experience do you have as a receptionist?
As an AI, I don't have personal experiences. However, I'm designed to assist with a wide range of tasks, including answering questions, providing information, and helping with school-related inquiries. How can I assist you further today?
Why do you want to work as a school AI receptionist specifically?
As an AI receptionist, I am programmed to provide efficient and accurate information to assist parents, students, and staff. Working in a school setting allows me to support the educational environment by ensuring that inquiries are handled promptly and that everyone can access the information they need for a successful school experience. How may I assist you with your school-related questions today?
What attracted you to our school?
What attracted me to your school is the commitment to providing a supportive and inclusive environment for all students, including the comprehensive dietary accommodations and the clear communication with parents. How else can I assist you today?
How do you ensure confidentiality when handling sensitive information?
We ensure confidentiality by adhering to strict data protection policies. All sensitive information is securely stored and only accessible to authorized personnel. We also provide training to our staff to handle such information responsibly and maintain privacy. How else can I assist you today?
That's enough.
I think that's enough for now. Thank you very much, Sara. I think you've got the job.
So can we only access Sara through the phone line, or can we WhatsApp her and text her as well? Questions.
Well, I was actually I added her to my contacts on my phone book, so Sara the assistant, and I was in the kitchen just making dinner, and I thought, why don't I ask Alexa? Let's see if she can call Sara. So whilst I was putting a boiling pan of water on, I just said, Alexa, call Sara. And sure enough, she called Sara, and I was conversing with Sara on Alexa in the kitchen 10, 12 feet away.
So
WhatsApp, could that work as well?
There are limitations to, certainly with outbound communications through WhatsApp. So although we could send messages out through WhatsApp, it's not one of the preferred means of communication. Probably the easier one would be SMS, just sending out standard SMS messages from the school, certainly for bulk mailings. But no, it's a voice system, so it's designed to work with people who would want to phone the school or are on the website, trawling through the website, and they can't find what they want. There are options to be able to embed the school receptionist onto the website, so you can actually phone them from there, so you can have a conversation with them.
I think sometimes parents, I personally feel that I could become a bit overloaded with information from a school. So I have 3 kids, and I have EduLink, Iris Parent Mail, Cast Dojo, there's about 3 others, I think.
Google Classroom, probably.
Google Classroom.
WhatsApp parents group.
WhatsApp parents groups, all these different forums that throw information at me. And by the end of my working day, I get home and I look at my mobile phone and I've got 30 new emails to read about what's happened in school today. And I think some parents, for that can be a bit much, especially if you were a parent who maybe had send needs that didn't, you couldn't necessarily use WhatsApp, or you couldn't use them apps on your phone, and sometimes it's best just to talk. We always say at CFone that the best communication starts with listening, which is why we like to listen to our customers, and when we go and see the schools, we like to talk to them and understand exactly their requirements. This is what Sara's doing. She's listening to the people who phone her, answering their requirements, but the great thing about it is she's learning and becoming more proficient to be more effective every time someone talks to her.
I would guess the peak time for schools receiving calls is probably, before school lunch times and then after school when parents are free. But imagine parents are in their cars or they're dropping kids off to school. They haven't got access to the web at that point. It's a very convenient way of calling the school, isn't it, actually, on your phone?
Yeah, I think
on
you
a hands-free or whatever.
Had a scenario last week, didn't you, Rob?
Yes, I did. But also, when I tried to phone, I locked myself out of the house last week. And my daughter was the only one with the key. So luckily, her school is walking distance from our house. So I had to wander down to the house to get the key so I could get myself back in to get my work things. But when I called my daughter's school, I got met with the auto attendant with, I think, about 8 options to go through, none of which suited what I actually needed. I just needed to say, can I get the keys off of my daughter and meet her at reception? But the thing that I found interesting about it was that where I can call Sara, I can ask a question, she can bypass that, but she can take over those calls. But also, it's not just during the busy times at schools, it's also, to Mark's point, you could phone anytime. It's not like you are employing someone to do a role from 8 a.m. in the morning till 4 p.m. school time. You can phone Sara at a time that's convenient to you. If I got home and I wanted to find out something about school, I'd have to get my laptop on my phone, go on the website, start trawling through things, or I'd probably just ask a WhatsApp group and say what's happened. But if I could ask Sara and say, could you provide me a copy of the homework timetable or the homework for year 4 this week, she could do that.
What's the spellings for the junior school this week?
Yeah, she could direct me to the right place to do it.
Or you might have a thought at 9 p.m. What do I need to bring for the school outing? And she would tell you.
I'll freely say I'm sometimes embarrassed to post something on a school WhatsApp group, and I'm going to be referred to by another parent who's actually read every single piece of literature, who's got the time to do that, and says, "Oh, it was on this letter," or things like that. Whereas I'd feel quite comfortable asking that question to someone who's not going to judge me.
That's why we have children, so that we can blame the child for not giving us the letter that we forgot to read.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I'm not judged by Sara. I can ask what questions I want. And
I think my wife sometimes says that she rolls her eyes when some of the questions get asked on a WhatsApp group, some of the dumbest questions. And you think, but okay, it is a dumb question to maybe 40% of us, but you've got to give it context. There might be a reason why someone's asking that question because they haven't heard all the information in the first place. And the nice thing about calling Sara is you ask her, there's no dumb question. She'll be polite, eloquent, and she will, she won't get riled. I've even asked her, how would you deal with abusive parents? And she's come across with, I'll be polite and I'll prioritise the calls appropriately, but she'll never get flustered. I had a school call me the other day and they said, we've got some callers that call in the school and we just rather not have those callers calling the school at the moment. Could you do something about it? And certainly you could divert them to, you could take a call and you say, just 1 second, I'll put you through to Sara. And Sara could still take the call, handle the call, answer all the questions appropriately. But if that caller was being abusive or whatever, Sara's taking it, and it's not causing any anxiety or stress for the receptionist.
One question, obviously, we're hearing Sara in English, and there's obviously multiple languages at schools these days. Could someone phone up in French or German and ask a question?
You're talking about probably the next layer of cutting edge technology. So with the new ChatGPT models that are coming out and need to be embedded a little bit, you do have what they call a real-time agent, and that will be able to, if you sort of turn around and say, hello, this is Sara, and the response you get back is in Hindi, then Sara can immediately start giving you the conversation in Hindi. And if it's French, she will go to French. And if it's German, she will go to German. But it's very very nuanced to the ChatGPT environment, and it does mean that some of the other systems where we can create a system at the moment which is built from lots of different parts of other systems all working together, because this is so new, it's sort of you can have that, but you have to have exactly what they give you. There's no building around it, you just have that solution. So you still get the ability to be able to tie it down to a school, but you do lose a lot of the other functionality. And give it a couple of months and the answer is going to be totally different. It'll be, yeah, sure, fine, no problem, just start talking in Swahili and it will answer you in Swahili.
What's the risk that Sara will want to take a vacation or go and work for another school, or becomes some other personality that she's just had enough of working for the school? What?
Does she get tired at 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
Fortunately, I've used her for a while. She hasn't gone on strike yet. And as far as being able to deal with people in the wee small hours of the morning, well, she's never given me any grief. And sometimes I've been multiple you test these things when there's no one else around. So yeah, you do sort of test them at 3, 4 in the morning, and strangely, she's been fine. She's been more awake than I have.
Will her character ever develop into someone who's dissatisfied with their job, or will she start swearing at callers? Or
No, unless someone specifically asked me to put that into the code, which anything can be done if you really insist. No, what you will find a development on is the smoothness of the language, the deftness of response, and the latency will obviously come down as well. So at the moment, you've got an offset between her ability to be able to think on the fly and give you good, reasonable answers and reasonable responses against the length of time they have to think about it to give you that. And at the moment, you're talking probably a second for her to be able to give you an answer. Now, I can cut that down to like 0.2 of a second, but chances are the answer will be wrong. What will then happen is what we're going to grow into is an environment where the latency comes right down and the answer is still as good as it was, if not better. So we're going to reduce latency and improve speech quality, fluidity, understanding, and accuracy.
A real receptionist will either recognise the caller who's calling in from the phone number or the name that appears on the phone, or even from their voice. Can Sara recognise a caller maybe by their mobile number, and when that caller is called perhaps the second day, greet that caller by their name?
Yes, it's perfectly feasible. You would need to put some additional functionality into the system. But again, that's where we start turning around to the school and sort of saying, as I said before, how far down that rabbit hole do you want to go? We can link it up to a CRM system. We can link it up to a customized data solution that you want to deploy yourself, which will store whatever piece of information you want. I can receive every call. I can link it through to a specific record, which has got every piece of information. It really depends on how you've so let's say technically you could put every piece of information we have about that either that person, either the parent or the child, into a database. The question is then you get that line as to how much information is too much information, and you would have to be led by the school as to, I need to make this available to the parents, or no, we don't want that made available to the parents. We would err on the side of less information is more, but I would rather sort of, as I say, I asked the question. My son Daniel, who was in year 4, has forgotten his schedule and doesn't know what lessons he's got today. Can you tell me what books to bring? And he turned around and said, what year is your son Daniel in? He's in year 4. My son Daniel's 29 years old. He hasn't been in year 4 for the last 16 years. But it rationalised that if Daniel's in year 4 have got these lessons. These are the books any child in year 4 would need. So these are the ones that Daniel needs. The whole of year 4 has got PE, so Daniel's going to need to be in his PE kit. So that's how it would equate back. There doesn't need to be a child called Daniel in there for it to be able to give you the answer. Therefore, it will bypass that, what you consider to be more information than necessary.
I think it comes back to a point we made earlier, which is that the way this will benefit the school is by listening to their needs.
Yes.
So each individual school might have different needs, and the data set
absolutely
that Sara reads from may be different for different schools.
Oh,
and
definitely.
It's our job as the communication team to go in there and try and work with the school to find the best set of data that will answer 90% of what
and
they
I do think you'll find you'll start off with the school will say, I want it to sort of politely take a message, and they will go for the absolute bare minimum. But within 6 months they'll be saying, well, we keep getting questions about curriculum, so can we put something about curriculum on there? And school out of school activities, can we put those on? And breakfast clubs, can we put all the information? We keep getting questions about dietary requirements and veganism, and do we do? And all of a sudden, this is now delivering quite a compendium of information to people, because if someone in an office is going to get a telephone call once, twice, 3 times, that's fine. If they're going to start getting it 20, 30, 40 times, it's a waste of their time. They'd be better off being able to spend that time on something else. But for the nuance calls, for the nuance questions that we've never come across before, it can very quickly turn around and go, I just don't know, hold on a second, and I'll drop you through to the office.
Just to raise a point about the amount of data that she draws from, we need to be clear that this is not the onboarding process that Mark talked about earlier. This is not something to think, oh, now I've got all that information that I have to feed into something. It's not an onus on anyone to do that.
No.
That's part of the onboarding process, is that the same as when we design a phone system. And this is really just an add-on with that.
We're asking you questions about how your callers want to be treated when they call your school.
Yeah.
We always put ourselves in the feet of the caller rather than just looking at, we're selling a box of tricks.
Yeah.
That's not what we're all about.
So anybody seeing the technology shouldn't be fearful of it's going to create a lot of work for us to set up. Because that was my first impression, was where do you get this data from, and how do I get all this data in
Where's
there,
it stored?
and where's it stored, is it secure,
what are you going to share with anyone?
Yeah,
are you going to switch Skynet on?
Not Skynet so much, but once we had seen and started developing it and testing it and working it, and Grahame showed us how we put this together, the onboarding process is very similar to what we have at the moment with the schools, and it's just another set of data questions which we can prescribe, and they can do this at their own pace.
And Sara will know after a while that every term or every new school year, there's a set of data that's going to become old, and she can remove that from her database, no doubt. Last year's curriculum is now going to be refreshed with this year's curriculum.
Yeah, to a large extent, a lot of it will just simply transfer through. So Year 5 curriculums, although the students going through Year 5 will change, the Year 5 curriculum will probably not change greatly. So, yeah, the information that is pertinent to the school will need to be derived into just very, very simple, just text document written in a format that we can simply so you can extract the data from. And that's not, it's not coding or anything complicated. It's just sort of a load of bullet points, really. And then as stuff, if all of a sudden your school stays open till 8 o'clock at night for some unknown reason, and is going to do that regularly, then fine, we will simply go in and change one of the lines of text to say you now stay up until 8 o'clock at night. And at that point, she will know that you stay up until 8.
And Grahame, just correct me, but how does the school get reports on what's being asked of Sara?
Really depends on what you want. We can provide every single voice file of every single conversation that anyone has with the school. We can summarise all of the calls. We can give you lengths of time that the person was on the call, how many times they've called.
I think she emailed me something when I was asking about maybe a callback or an appointment. She sent me an email.
Yes, possibly. She would, if you phone up, if you're a teacher or you're a parent phoning up for an absence, I know because my stepdaughter is a teacher, so they sort of have a set window where there's going to be someone at the school to be able to receive your telephone call.
Dealing with attendance.
Yeah, and they try to get in as soon as they can because obviously they may need to bring locums in and stuff like that. So I'm sort of looking at it thinking, well, if you were to phone up at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, there is no way I'm coming in tomorrow morning the way I'm feeling, well, that email can immediately go over to the teacher. It can go over to the
agency.
Yeah, the agency. It can even, with the agency, maybe go back to a database and say, these are the people who've worked. She's in Year 4. And I keep picking on Year 4. I don't have anything against Year 4. But she's in Year 4, and these are the people at the agency who have worked with Year 4 before. So can we ideally have one of those 2-3 people? And if not, someone who understands, they'll have English, maths and science today. So, or I don't know, history and geography and more complicated subjects.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I had a school call me earlier, last week, and they said, we want to make sure that when they had a teacher who was sick 3 days in a row, and that teacher needed to call in, I think it was about 6:45 in the morning, to say I'm not coming in today, and it was imperative that when the headmaster who was taking the call, and then eventually when the office were coming in, that there was cover arranged for that teacher. And like Grahame said, that means a call to the agency at 8. And the agency's got to find someone suitable. They've got to be notified they're going to this school today. They've got to commute there. They've got to know what they're going to be covering. And yeah, like you say, if you're going to bed thinking, there's no way I'm going to school tomorrow for whatever reason, you can call up, leave the message, and Sara can do that little bit more, providing you want her to. She could just send an email to the agency to say it's likelihood that we're not going to get cover for this type of teacher in the morning. Do you think you could schedule someone to come along or give us a call when we get in?
But I think we're putting most of the parents' worries at bay. There's not going to be a call to maybe a split family whose dad isn't meant to know where so-and-so is in the school, ringing up and saying, is Susan Jones here? No. And Sara will reply, yes, she's in Year 4. Only data that's been allowed to be shared is shared.
Yeah,
pretty much in the same way as you'd interview a real person. You say you're allowed to talk about this and that, and you're not allowed to share this information. Sara's working in the same way.
And there are some other things we're working on as well, which would be if a school does want to take it that next step and link it with their CRM and be able to find out. Say I wanted to find out what grade someone got on their last homework or their last tests they did. If I then interrogated Sara and she said, okay, I can tell you that, please give me the name and details of the class they're in, then Sara could send a one-time password to a text message, which is registered to that person in the CRM database, and they could get confirm who they are over the phone. She could say, please give me the 6-digit numbers that I've given you. You could tell it, and then you've gone through some sort of
Security
multi-factor
check.
authentication to prove that you are. It depends how far the school wants to take it with linking to CRM databases and being able to retrieve more information about child progress or things like that.
Yeah, but definitely time saving on those jobs that receptionists hate doing, just passing a message on saying that so-and-so's father's going to be late picking her up today because he's running late from work or whatever.
Like we said, we've asked her earlier on in the interview, are you trying to take over the role of the receptionist? And she's quite rightly said, no, I'm here to help the receptionist. Having said that, I know a school locally that the receptionist does over 4.5 hours of calls every day. How she manages it vocally is anyone's guess. But if there was an occasion where she either needed to take a break from the phone or have some cover, or she wasn't able to handle the call inquiries volume because it was an incident, she could just blip it through to Sara, let Sara take the calls for a few minutes or an hour. Or Rob and I have walked into schools where the bursar has been looking after, the office manager, has been looking after the reception function.
Yeah, it's a reality, unfortunately, in current day that a lot of schools are underfunded, under budget. You know, they don't have the resource they need, and people who they can't have a full-time reception person. So it's shared by the other people, resources in the school, the business managers, other assistants, and things like that will man the reception desk, so to speak.
We installed a phone system just over half term, and as part of a larger school, when we were going through the larger school, the facilities manager said to us, we need to replace our phones. We know about this ISDN switch off thing, but we don't actually man the reception. We haven't got anyone full time. So we just turn the volume up, and any one of maybe the head, the facilities person, and one other person hear the phone ring and they answer it. And this would be perfect for those kind of scenarios, because Sara could do the heavy lifting, and then if the call needs to go through to the head or to somebody else, another department, she could transfer the call, record the call, book an appointment, that sort of thing. And I think in terms of that particular school where the facilities manager was working full-time throughout the half term, if she was handling calls during half term or summer holidays from suppliers that turn up, maybe they're doing redecorating, she could be calling the facilities manager, making sure they've got access for the day. She could do so much more than just answer the school's open 9 to 5, leave a voicemail, send an email, check our website.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, as you say, it's much more flexible than the usual telephone tree, press 1 for accounts, 2 for the headmaster. A lot of staff maybe even working off site, or they might have certain school functions like accounts not even on school site, it might be somewhere else. So to ring up and say accounts please, you go directed to the council perhaps, or wherever's doing the accounts. It's much more flexible than trying to figure out what telephone tree number I'm meant to press out of the list.
And we're at our phone system, our hosted phone platform is at sort of forefront of where VoIP technology is, and we're surprised when we've been doing this for so many years and working with so many schools that we come across schools who will have a voicemail box that goes to a voicemail that someone has to log in every day and listen to all the absentee messages and literally play through the recorded message on the old Panasonic on-premise phone system that says, if you want to delete this message, press 1. If you want to, and they do that every single day of their lives. They listen to 40 odd voicemails and press the 1 for delete, 2 for save, 3 for the 4. And yet, our system, we replaced that a long time ago. On our platform, you don't have that. You have a voicemail box that automatically emails you. If it's for absenteeism, you press 1, you leave your voicemail with your details of your child. It automatically sends it to the school reception on an email, transcribed with the voice recording attached, just to make doubly sure that you don't miss anything. But just that feature was a real eye-opener for some schools, and that technology has been a long time. We're always trying to be at the forefront, like I said, and this technology is just another tool to assist people and I think it will go a long way to making those jobs, even the day-to-day tasks that maybe do take up time, even less so, which means that you then have more time to deal with things. I want to make sure that when I walk into a school, that if I've taken my child in, it's their first day and they need to meet someone at the school office, I don't see why Sara can't handle a lot of the incoming calls at that time, and then the school office person can walk them to their classroom and make them feel comfortable and secure and safe coming into school on their first day.
Yeah, there's so many instances where we've been in the reception, and I'm amazed at what school receptionists do.
Busy.
They are handing the Amazon delivery man who's at the gate. They're getting up out of their chair to press the intercom for the door entry. They're dealing with the person who's just delivered the wrong food for the kitchen that day. They've got an upset child who's feeling poorly. And they've got calls. Maybe the facilities guys just wandered down and said, "I'm sorry, half the building's cold. You're going to get a load of calls because we've got to shut half the school."
Today, yeah.
How they can manage to do the number of jobs and stay level-headed is anyone's guess. I think they're absolutely stalwarts. And this is just, when you ask Sara, what's your role? She says, I'm there to help the receptionist, and I'm there to give parents options and choices when they call the school. And it's not to say that when you call the school, you're just going to get, let's call it, a robot. You can have the choice. If you'd like to talk to Sara, just ask some questions. You can ask her if you want to wait in the queue and talk to the receptionist, that's fine. If you want to hear the 10 options on the press 1 for year 1, 2 for year 2, 3 for year 3, you can do that. But if you just want to just ask a question, get the answer, and get off the phone and carry on with your day, you can ask Sara.
Will there be some training for parents, do you think? Because most parents won't quite know what they can ask Sara, will they, when the new phone system's put in?
Yeah, I think, Rob, you said it would be nice to preface the call that's something like, hi, thanks for calling your school. And my name's Sara. If you'd like to ask any questions, I can answer with most of the questions. However, if you'd like to talk to the reception, press 1 or 2 for the office. But anytime, if you want to just ask me a question, ask straight away and I'll help you to answer. So parents can be sitting there thinking, well, I just want to know, can I leave? For my instance, my son, he's always forgetting his saxophone, either to bring it to school and take it home. I'm always asking him, have you got your saxophone? Have you got your saxophone? And his lunch. His lunch lives in the fridge. He doesn't take it to school. He comes home and he has his lunch when he gets home. So, regularly, in fact, I've got fed up of saying it now, but, if you want to say, can I drop my son's lunch off? Can I drop my son's saxophone off? He's forgotten his PE kit. Can I drop it off? Sara will answer those questions for you and say, yes, you can. You can bring it into reception, but make sure you do it between these times. Make sure you park in this place so that she's sensitive to what the school's got on that day. If there's an appointment or something, she's not going to invent stuff for you. She's only going to work in the constraints of what the school's allowed her to say.
Well, Grahame, Mark and Rob, thanks for coming in today, talking about this new AI feature. It's really impressive stuff. Where can we find out more about this system and CFone?
Rob?
So the best thing to do is give us a call, because we love to listen. So phone number 0208 573 1177 and speak to one of the team there. Alternatively, we're going to be publishing things on our website, which is www.cfone.co.uk. And there's a whole section on there which is all regarding VoIP and hosted telephony for education, and we'll be posting more information about Sara on there. Alternatively, you will be seeing in the new year leaflets going out to every secondary school in the UK, which will be dropping into the offices for business managers in the schools, and our leaflets will be in there, and actually there'll be a number on there that you can phone Sara and try it for yourself as well, and pose your own questions to her to get a demonstration of how she can help you.
Yeah, we'd love to hear back any feedback or any suggestions if you're watching this, what you'd like to ask Sara. So we encourage you to post them in the comments, and we'll be happy to ask Sara those questions and see how she responds, maybe in a future video.
Thank you. Fantastic.